Hello, my name is Natasha Hahn. My pronouns are they, them, and I am currently a junior at the University of Central Florida, and I work at the Multicultural Student Center as a student director.
Hi, my name is Lois Hernandez. I go by they, them, theirs, and he, him, his pronouns. I am the assistant student director of the Multicultural Student Center, and I am so glad to be able to be part of this campaign.
For me, as a person of the LGBT community, the best way I think people could be allies is sort of just supporting them and listening to what they say. And then also, for me personally, I get misgendered a lot just because I do present myself more femininely than people would expect someone to be of a non-binary person. So I get misgendered a lot. And then so a great way you could be an ally is sort of just correcting others when your friend gets misgendered, just because it's will take a lot of a toll on them to have to constantly correct people. And then
I would say to be a more supportive ally, I would say not just advocating queer voices, but also amplifying queer voices. So anyone who has any ideas, any movements, initiatives that that they want to be able to go forward in this, not just in this university, but also in the Orlando community, it's important to be able to give them a foundation to walk on, to be able to give them resources, to make sure that their ideas and their plans actually go ahead and go forward in whatever they want to do. And to be able to amplify these is through education, and to be able to make sure that they have the support they need. And in order to become better allies to those people who want to amplify, I think that educating yourself and others around you is important.
I mainly celebrate Pride just being true to myself and sort of just hanging out with my friends, because with the current age, I feel a lot of Pride has become very capitalized on by corporations. So I don't like to indulge myself really in those sort of campaigns, just because I know they have misinformed intentions.
Oh, that's a good question. I celebrate Pride Month by, advocating for student voices here at the university, making sure that no matter what, that someone who is also queer or is of a minority group is represented here at the university. I also love just hanging out with other people in my community, attending Pride events, attending Pride parades here around the Florida community. And most of the time, it's just celebrating your own identity and celebrating that no matter what, you're here, you are loved, and you're supported.
For the longest time, I was trying to find this sense of community, because as a Korean American and then also non-binary and then also bisexual, I always felt like I was in between these two sides. But then I found my sense of community when I was sort of just became more true to myself and didn't try to pretend I was someone else. And so for me, community is just somewhere where you feel safe to be yourself with other people.
So community, I would say, are people that you surround yourself with that not only are who you identify as, or people that you think are in your bubble or in your space, but also people who support you, who love you, who are there for you. And just having a similar identity or having a similar personality is just, I would say, how do you say it? Just another thing that's part of the community, but also just having that voice, having multiple voices surrounding you to uplift you and to celebrate and increase awareness of your own identity.
I think when I was going through like my like gender identity, I was sort of searching like mostly online, trying to figure out like what does it even mean to be non-binary, what does it mean to be like gender fluid. And so I think the first thing you should do if you're trying to figure out is like start researching just like the different identities, see what aligns to you, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't. If it does, then that's great too. But then also if you don't want to put any any like term on like what you are to identify yourself as, you also don't have to. And then a great way that I learned like most about was just going to like events by like queer organizations, and then just like also reaching out to my friends and asking them like sort of like their perspective on things to see like how it was different from my own, so I could like sort of understand myself a little better.
I would say that go with the flow. Labels are just, labels. Love who you want to love. It's okay if you don't know the answer right now. And it's okay if you don't ever know the answer. We're all human. We like to put things in order. And it's okay if, your identity or your sexuality doesn't really fit into a box. And it's valid for you to not fit in a box. Everyone's different, and everyone loves the same way.
Currently, my favorite things to do are playing video games, watching Netflix, and then also event planning. Like as MSc student director, I have been planning for the upcoming events for the school year, and I just have a lot of fun sort of planning out all those events, because it's like when you see all of them done and you see everyone's faces when the event's completed, it's sort of really rewarding for me.
Ooh, I love lifting weights. I used to lift in high school, so obviously that forwarded into my college career. I love gardening. I have a whole garden in my backyard. I love collecting little rocks from conferences or places I go. It's a little bit niche, but I always put a little title on the rock, St. Petersburg 2020 or something like that.
For me, my biggest struggle is with my gender identity, just because people will always view me as a woman before they see me as non-binary, and it really takes a toll on you sometimes, just because it's you'll never be able to present yourself the way you want because the perception people have of you will always come first.
I think my biggest struggle is within myself. It doesn't just have to be with my identity or my sexuality. It's just sitting in my own skin, and just being present is a hard thing for me to be able to do. I'm always a planner. I always think ahead. I always want to keep going. But at the same time, I need to realize that staying present, being mindful of whatever's happening around me is something I need to work on. And it's something that will help me grow and stay forward.
Currently, my favorite artists are Mitski, Kylie Rae Jepsen, and Rina Sawayama. Love all of them. They're amazing.
Ooh, okay. So I've been really enjoying Mother. So I'm actually seeing Mother live next February, I think. So, I really love Rex Orange County. I love Daniel Caesar. I know I'm saying all music artists, but I really love music. So it's something I really put into a lot of time in. I make a lot of playlists on Spotify, so those are my top 3, 4. I don't know how many I named. My
role models would have to be my parents, like most specifically like my mom, just because she's like been through a lot, like growing up as a Korean American, like also in Florida for a majority of her life, like seeing her like sort of grow up, like even today, like seeing her learn more and how she's like trying to like better herself is like always really inspiring for me.
I would say my biggest role model was my dad. He really not really set me on this path, but guided me to where I am today. He loved me really unconditionally, supported me to whatever I wanted to do, and he made sure that whatever I was doing, he knew that he made sure that I knew that he was there for me. And it really helped impact me in a way, because in the way I like make initiatives or make events or do all these things for the university, I really make sure that whoever I work with, or whoever is out there that I have to represent, that I'm there for them, and that they are represented, and that they are not alone.
This is sort of lame, but my goals are sort of just to graduate college and sort of be done with school. But then like my aspirations go further of like wanting to like better the environment, because I'm an environmental science major, so I want to work in like city planning and hopefully create better like like more environmentally conscious structures for like the changing environment.
My goal is to graduate like the rest of us. I really just want to be able to travel the world, see different cultures, immerse myself in like these, different experiences that people have done, traveling. I really want to be able to work in healthcare, even if it's in a non-clinical setting. It's really important to be able to be there for people and taking care of people, even if it's not, clinically, and I don't have to do patient contact or whatever. I just love working with people, and I love helping people, and I probably will, help volunteer in a nonprofit organization to keep up with my advocacy work.
Mainly I want people to know, like, if they were from like the perspective of allies, you don't have to ask every question you have about queer people to your queer friends. If you have a question, I would search it on Google first rather than like going up to any queer person and trying to ask them, just because it like does take a toll on us mentally, having to constantly be an encyclopedia for people.
I want others to know that even if, you have these different intersecting identities, I myself I'm a queer Asian American, and I also identify as trans. You don't have to pick one identity. You can be, 2, 3, multiple identities, and they all intersect with each other, and they all have different experiences. And that experience is what makes you you, and what helps you become yourself and help grow as a person, and to, just immerse yourself into whatever you want to do with your life. And these identities are just something that's a part of you, and just choosing one doesn't really make any sense, because whatever you're immersed in is what makes up your identity. And picking being Asian American or being queer, you can pick both, or you can pick multiple ones, and it's okay.
Mainly, I want to see like more outreach to like the Asian communities, because like with OCTA, it's the Orlando Queer and Trans Asian Association, and I've never really been in like an organization where I had like been so comfortable to be like my true self, just because it's like a very welcoming space, and I would want to see like more inclusion in Orlando.
I want to see more allyship and advocacy towards not only Asian Americans but Latinx and Black communities, especially in the LGBTQ plus community, since there are still stigmas and biases towards other minority groups aside from being gay. Being gay is definitely, something that, is definitely discriminated against, but we also have to make sure that those people who are in our community who don't identify as white or, have the same privileges as others are represented and do have the same rights and say in our community.
So for me, my intersectionality sort of is like 3 roads diverging into one. I'm Korean American, I'm non-binary, and then I'm also bisexual. And all my life I've sort of been like in half of one, half of the other. And like in the LGBT community, I'm seen as not gay enough just because I would also date a man, even though that doesn't even make sense because it wouldn't even be a heteronormative relationship. And then me being non-binary, I'm sort of seen as a girl rather than non-binary and gender fluid. And then being Korean American, I've always been not Korean enough for people or like too American for people. And like all of those different identities sort of like diverge into one where I just feel like I'm not good enough for people. And then with like all of the different communities, there is prevalent like in like the LGBTQ community, there's like very prevalent like biphobia, and then like in the Korean American community, there's a lot of racism against those who aren't like raised as like the perfect Korean child, basically. And then